everyone, and welcome to this Diwali special. Now, Diwali means many things to many people. It's the victory of good over evil for some. It's the festival of light for some. And for some, it's a day to introspect about all the joy and light in their lives and how they have gotten there. We have a very special guest in our studios today, Sadhvi Bhagawati, who's just come out with her book, Hollywood to the Himalayas. And the book is largely an introspection about her journey here in India. Sadhvi Bhagawati, first of all, thank you very much for making the effort to come all the way from Rishikesh to Delhi to speak to us about your wonderful book and your transformative journey. Can I, since it's Diwali, it's the Diwali week, can I ask you your first Diwali here in India and whether the meaning of Diwali has changed for you over a period of 26 years that you've been here?
First of all, Shreya, it's just so beautiful to be here with you and so beautiful to be together, especially at this time of Diwali. Yeah, I remember my first Diwali in Rishikesh at Parmarth Niketan. It was 1996, which was the year that I first came and then stayed. And in the ashram, there's lots of children because there's so many people who do seva, and so they have children. And I've always been very deeply connected to children. And so I remember the kids being so excited that this thing was happening. Now, I had never heard of Diwali. I didn't know what it was. I also didn't speak any Hindi. So the children and I usually just communicated in smiles and laughter. But I remember that they were trying to explain to me this very exciting thing that was happening. And finally someone told me, and the kids, I remember they came on the day of Diwali with a big box of sweets. And we all ate sweets, and of course in the evening at the ashram there's a beautiful sacred puja for Mahalakshmiji and Ganeshji, of course, right on the banks of Mother Ganga, right at the time of the sacred arati. And it was such a powerful experience to be part of this ceremony, this ritual, that even though I didn't understand it, I felt it. And for me, it was one of those first moments of understanding it with my heart and my being and my soul, even though my brain didn't yet actually have any specific facts or information about it. And over the years, the meaning for Diwali has become so deep for me and so powerful because it's a festival of light. Now that light is that which removes our darkness. What is that darkness? It's ignorance. And so over the years, Diwali has become this time of really examining what area is there in me that's still ignorant, that doesn't have light, and how at this time of Diwali can I let go of yet another layer of ego or arrogance or ignorance or false identification or greed or anger or jealousy or any of these things that block light from our life. How can I let go of that so that this light can be even more? And also this worship of Mahalakshmiji has just become even deeper for me because she's the bestower of prosperity, real prosperity. She's not the goddess of cash, as mistakenly sometimes people think. It's the goddess of real prosperity, meaning, oh Mahalakshmi, make me know that my cup runneth over. Real prosperity is not how much you have. It's how you feel about what you have. And I say this as someone coming from the land of plenty, right? I mean, as the title of my book is Hollywood to the Himalayas. So I started in Hollywood, in a world of having great abundance of wealth, of privilege, of opportunity, of material everything. And yet so many people I knew, self included, We're always wanting more, always feeling like we didn't quite have enough. And that's not prosperity. And then when I came to India, I met so many people who lived so far below Western standards of poverty. But their felt sense experience was fullness, wholeness. They wanted to share, not grab. That's abundance. When we want to share, we are rich. When we want to grab, we are poor. So for Diwali, for me, these years has become so much a worship of this divine energy, of knowing that our cup runneth over, of gratitude, of love, of that prosperity.
So let's start with the very beginning, because that is where you start in your book. You are a Stanford graduate, you a PhD scholar as well, and your husband asks, he was the one who decided that he wants to walk the spiritual path and come to India, and he suggests that to you, and your first reaction is, oh God.
Yes.
Did you almost nearly not come?
You know, it's an interesting question. I'm not sure if we almost didn't come because he was really set on it. I think he would have come without me. I decided to come in order to make him happy because he was so set on coming to India. He had discovered a spiritual path. He wanted to find a guru. He wanted to learn more. So he was really set on it. So I wanted to make him happy. The other piece was I was an avid traveler. I loved traveling. But I had traveled a lot throughout most of my life in Europe, in England, across the US. And the difficulty was I was a pukka vegetarian. Not since birth, but at the age of 15, I became, just from inside instinctively, I became a vegetarian. And traveling in countries where you don't speak the language is really difficult to get really pure vegetarian food. And I knew that at least in India, I could eat really happily. That in India, you don't have to ask anybody 10 questions. If they simply say vegetarian, it means pukka pure vegetarian. They're not going to throw in eggs someplace. They're not going to throw in fish someplace. They're not going to throw in chicken broth someplace. So I actually said yes to make him happy. And because I loved Indian food, and I knew that at least I would be able to eat really happily.
That was 26 years ago.
It was. September was 26 years.
So you've been here 26 years. Can I ask you what made you stay? You talk about it in the book, but briefly for our viewers, what made you stay?
Sure. So as I said, I had no idea about India. I was not a religious person. I was raised in a Jewish family. But I was not religious. And I also wasn't even one of those people who say, well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. I was an academic. I was a scientist. I was studying pediatric neuropsychology. So my lack of spirituality was never something that I even really noticed. I mean, when you're 25 and an academic with an active social life living in California, you don't notice that you're also not on a spiritual path. But we come to Rishikesh, and Rishikesh was the very first place we came. I opened a 500-page Lonely Planet guidebook sitting at some coffee shop in Connaught Place when we landed in Delhi. And I said, Rishikesh. It was just like that. I opened the book and Rishikesh. Sounded nice. It was mountains, a river, yoga. I was already a yoga student back in California. Come to Rishikesh. And I stood on the banks of Ganga, not even knowing that the river was holy. I was hot, I was tired, we had just arrived into town. And I went down to freshen up, put my feet in the water. And standing on Mother Ganga's banks, I had such a powerful experience of connection to the divine, of oneness with the divine, that I burst into tears. And I knew in that moment that I had come home, that this was where I was meant to be, on Ma Ganga's banks, in her lap, living this experience of oneness with the divine. And it was extraordinary. It was obviously very unexpected, unanticipated. I didn't understand it, but I trusted it. But something else happened right around the same time, which was I noticed that people were so happy. People who had almost nothing. Like I was saying about prosperity, they had almost nothing. But there was a light in their eyes and a joy in their life that no one I knew growing up in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills had. And I realized there's a secret here, a secret to happiness. And I need to stay long enough to figure out this secret. And of course, by the time I had the blessing of knowing that secret, this had long since become home. And I've been here since then.
When you came to India, were you broken? Because you write about being abused as a child by your biological father. Were you broken when you came to India? And what is you've been very honest in your book. And you say that honesty and acceptance is the first step towards healing. Could you talk to us about that experience and how you healed and how long it took for you? Because I'm sure there are many people who could benefit from your journey as well.
Sure, yeah. I was not broken on any external level. I had graduated undergraduate from Stanford, had gotten straight A's. I was in the middle of a PhD program. I was getting straight A's. I was taking 21 units a quarter instead of the suggested 15. I mean, I was excelling on the absolute highest level. I was married to a wonderful man. From the outside, you would have said, this girl has everything. Sab kuch hai uske paas. Everything is working perfectly. Now, in terms of the abuse, I suffered a great deal of trauma in early childhood. First, he abused me. He then abandoned me when I was 8. And in the consequence of that, when I was in my adolescence and early 20s, I suffered from a very severe eating disorder. I was severely bulimic and was in and out of hospitals for that treatment. By the time I came to India at the age of 25, I was managing my life. I was managing my emotions, managing my pain, managing the eating disorder, managing depression, managing my marriage, managing my schoolwork, my relationships. I would have said to you, yeah, I'm doing great. I mean, I'm managing. Because to me, managing your life was the highest goal. No one had ever said to me, hey, guess what? There's a goal far beyond managing your life. You actually can be free. You actually can find a bliss, a joy, an ecstasy in freedom from this. Not just manage it, but I didn't know that. So no, I wasn't broken, but I was simply managing. The pain from the abuse I had done a lot of work with already. I had been in intense therapy, as you can imagine, but it was still a major part of my self-identity. I still identified as a victim of abuse, a victim of abandonment, as someone to whom these things had happened, a sufferer of this. And when I came to Rishikesh, after I had this incredible experience on the banks of Ganga, I finally had the opportunity to meet this incredible saint who has since become my guru, His Holiness Puja Swami Chidanand Saraswati Ji, who's the president of Parmarth Niketan. And he sent me into Ganga to give up the pain, to let it go. He literally said, go stand in Ganga and offer your pain, offer your anger, offer all of it to her. And I remember thinking, you don't offer pain to a river. Like a river is just going to sweep away my pain. I mean, I was a psychology PhD student. I was an academic. There's processes. You don't just give these things to a river. But out of reverence, respect for the being who had given me this instruction, I decided, well, I'll at least do it sincerely. I knew it wasn't going to work, but I thought at least I'll do it sincerely. And I walked into Ganga, and I have no idea how long I stood there. I cried and I prayed and I cried and I prayed, and I literally pulled from within me all of the anger I could find, all of the pain I could find, until I could stare in the face of my biological father and say, I forgive you. And when I walked out of Ganga, it was gone. Miraculously, by grace, it was gone. In that act of letting it go, which in the last 26 years I've realized is the key, we have to be prepared to let it go. I mean, by the time I showed up in Rishikesh, if Swamiji had said to me, Chalo dikhao, show me the part of your body that was abused. Show me where he abused you. I didn't have one cell of my body at the age of 25 that had been abused as a child. The cells of our body keep regenerating. We are constantly brand new. I mean, within 7-8 years, every single cell of our body has been regenerated. But we carry the pain from day to day, from year to year, in our patterns of thought. And by sending me into Ganga to let go of those patterns of thought, I was able to become free. And so it's been this extraordinary experience of not only healing the anger and the pain, but of letting go of the identity that says, I'm a victim of abuse. Because a lot of times we move through the world with that. That's what defines us. Oh, I can't do this because I am like that. I can't do this because this happened to me. I will never succeed. I will never be happy because of this. And we've got these false identities that we carry with us, that we use as excuses for why we don't step up to the plate of our life, why we don't accept this invitation that the universe, the divine universe, offers every one of us for freedom and bliss and joy and peace.
To start with, how many women when you started out were part of the community?
Well, there's a lot of, in our particular ashram community, there's actually a lot. Puja Swamiji is dedicated to women's empowerment, women's upliftment. He's been working for women's upliftment and empowerment since even before I came. He's a very, very vocal and powerful voice for gender equality. But in the broader Sant Samaj, it's very few. I mean, I very, very frequently am the only female on a stage. And there's a lot of events that I actually go to that I wouldn't necessarily otherwise go to, but I go simply because I know if I don't go, there won't be a woman on that stage. And just to be able to show other women and girls that yes, there is a place for you. Yes, religion, spirituality is open to you. Now, it hasn't been easy.
I can imagine.
It has not been easy. I would not lie to you. There have been a lot of moments in which my sadhana has been to expand my sense of awareness. Because a lot of times things are either black or white. Either the samaj is right to discriminate against women because men are better, at which point they are right and my femaleness is wrong and I should pray to God to be born as a boy in my next life. Or being a woman is right and they are wrong. But what I've realized is it's neither. They're both, there's space for both, meaning I can revere, love, adore this Sanskriti, this culture, this Dharma, at the same time that I can love and revere and adore and celebrate my female body. And there doesn't have to be an either or. It doesn't have to be right or wrong, but that's been the sadhana, is not falling into the trap of one is right, one is wrong, but actually holding space for the reverence of this culture, of this Dharma.
Sadhvi Bhagawati, as we end this conversation, you moved to Rishikesh in your quest for spirituality, God, healing. What about the rest?
So this is the million-dollar, billion-dollar question that everybody's asking is, how can the rest of us do it? And this is actually, for me, why I wrote the book. Because yes, my journey is incredibly fascinating. It's been an extraordinary blessing and an extraordinary journey that I feel so blessed to share with everyone. But ultimately, the point is to offer that to others. And you don't have to move to Rishikesh. My actual physical arc of my life went Hollywood to the Himalayas, which is why that's the name of the book. But wherever you are, whatever your Dharma may be, wherever you live, you can make that mind shift, and that's what's important. The healing and transformation isn't about where your body moves. It's about the shift in your way of thinking from what I call the Hollywood way of thinking, which says you are your body. You're its size, its shape, its color, its race, its religion, its career, its bank account, its popularity. And then, of course, we suffer because we always want more. There's things that aren't right. We're angry, we're jealous, we're competitive, we feel not enough, we feel lacking. The Himalayan way of thinking says you have a body, but you're not the body. You are the soul. You are the spirit. You are consciousness. You are divinity. You are love. And when we can shift our way of thinking from thinking that we are the body to knowing that we simply have a body, but we are soul, we are consciousness, we are love, then all of that healing and transformation is possible for everyone, wherever they physically may be. So that's ultimately actually why I wrote it, is for you and for everyone like you, wherever you're sitting, whatever you're struggling with, to be able to make that shift in mindset from the Hollywood way of thinking to the Himalayan way of thinking.
Sadhvi Bhagawati, it was a pleasure having you here. Ladies and gentlemen, the book is called Hollywood to the Himalayas. Do pick it up if you can. All of you will take away something from it. Maybe different things, but all of you will take away something from it. Sadhvi Bhagawati, thank you so much for joining us here.
From the sounds and sensations in the world around you, from the thought forms that are growing and popping like bubbles that children blow, pull the awareness from these things and bring that awareness deep into yourself. So beautiful to have you all here with us.